Hey guys, welcome to Crawl's Workshop. Today I'm making this informational video about RCS in Trailmakers. My goal with this video is for everyone to be able to build their own RCS immediately after watching this video. Because if I do this right, you will be able to understand how everything works to where you can recreate it yourself without any help. So yes, this video will be done in such a way that even a complete beginner will be able to follow along and understand. So let's start with what is RCS. It stands for Reaction Control System, and it is the solution for controlling vehicles in places where a rubber wheel or rudders would not be an option. It's very common to use RCS on a spacecraft or a hovercraft, and in some cases, huge cranes will sometimes use some form of an RCS to maintain proper control over their load. Now, in Trailmakers, we have gyros to help us with directional control, so RCS isn't needed for that, but it is still very useful for hovercrafts and spaceships to help reduce or even completely prevent drifting, as well as slow you down and bring the vehicle to a complete stop when you want it. Now, in the case of this big platform that I'm standing on, I've used the exact same method to create this system where my underwater propellers are keeping me completely stationary in this area that has very strong winds and large waves. So if you're looking for a way to create something like this, then you're definitely in the right place. And if this video ends up helping you in any way, please let me know in the comments. This would really make my day. Now let's move on to the tutorial. Alright, I've teleported to that red circle here because this is probably the calmest waters that we can find. And it's just going to help us for now. Alright, so I have this little platform. I have two little thrusters in the back, and I have a gyroscope for directional control. So the thrusters are pushing me forward. I don't have anything to slow myself down. Now, the easiest, most simple way to build the RCS that I've been using, logic, you need a speed sensor, obviously. Speed sensor. Alright, so now I have a speed sensor facing forward. So that means every time it's going to detect speed in that direction, above 0.5 kilometers per hour, I want it to trigger an output of 100% to the thing that I'm going to connect it to, which in this case is going to be a thruster. Let's use that big thruster right here. So now I'm connecting it just by clicking this. Now it's green. You can tell. The way you can tell is you select this and then you go to that configure or settings wheel. And then if this is green, this is selected, and this is green, that means they're connected together. If this was white, that means it's not connected. So now I'm connecting it to that speed sensor. And now every time this speed sensor detects a speed of over 0.5 kilometers per hour in this direction, it's going to turn this thruster on at 100% power. That is what it does. So now if I leave build mode, you can tell, just because of the wind or the waves or whatever, it's detecting the speed. It triggers it just for a fraction of a second, just to make sure I'm not going that way. Now, if I try to go forward now, I'm going to have this thruster fighting me because it doesn't want to let me. I've used a thruster that's more powerful than my two thrusters on purpose just to demonstrate that. It's not letting me go. It is stopping me because I told my sensor to trigger that thruster every time I'm pressing forward. So there's a way to fix that. Now, if you want something that's going to remain stationary forever, this is the perfect setup right here. You just recreate this in all directions and your creation is not going to go anywhere. The wind is not going to push it anywhere. And if this is what you came here for, then you already have everything you need right now. You just need to put this in every direction. That's it. Now, if you want to put it on a vehicle like I did with my drone or my hovercraft, and my spaceship. So we need an extra block here. We need the XOR gate. Now I will explain to you why you need the XOR gate. And I feel like it's important because if you don't understand the role of the XOR gate, then you're just going to use it for no reason, which is what I used to do until I finally understood. So let's just put it like that. These are the only two gates, so it's not confusing. So now I want to be able to give it the command to go forward without this thing pushing against me or fighting me. But then when I release the gas, that's when I want this to start firing up. So what needs to happen here is now instead of this, whoops, sorry. This is no longer connected directly to the thruster. This now connects to the XOR gate. Now the XOR gate is going to connect to this thing. And now what key am I going to use to go forward? In this case, in this creation, I'm using the W key to go forward. So now I need to assign the W key to the XOR gate. So now when this detects speed, it triggers the XOR gate. And then the XOR gate triggers this. Now, an XOR gate, the way this works is it only functions if only one of its outputs is on. But if all of its outputs are on, then it turns it off. So the easiest way to try and explain this to someone who doesn't understand logic and stuff like that, basically imagine this guy here wants to go to the party, but it only wants to go to the party if his best friend goes to the party. But if everybody's going to the party, then he doesn't want to go. He only wants to go if his best friend goes, and that's it. So once again, this guy only goes to the party if the speed sensor is the only one going. If the speed sensor and me are both going, he doesn't want to go. Hopefully this makes sense. So now we're going to try, see if it works. You see? Now I'm going forward. I'm eventually going to hit top speed. The top speed that these two little thrusters are able to give me. And that thruster in the front is not fighting me. But then as soon as I release the gas, now it's stopping me. As soon as I go to 0, it stops. So this is how to create the simple RCS. Now, if you want this to go in every direction, you just recreate this exact same thing in every direction and you're good to go. Now, we're going to take this a little bit further. We're going to use different things. And then, you know, I'm going to show you another method that works using propellers, and I'm going to teach you how to set it up with propellers. It's a little bit more complicated. Sorry, we're going to start with wind-powered propellers or air propellers, and then we'll move on to the water propellers. All right, so now we're going to do it using air propellers. So we go here, and we're going to use these ones here. Now these, they've given me a little bit of trouble using them in the past, and I didn't know why, but now I know why, so I'm going to explain that to you guys. All right, so let's set it up like this. We have green facing forward, red facing backwards. Now, what I want is for the propeller to push against me, right? Remember that. So the way I would have set it up before is I have this connected to that. As soon as it detects 0.5 speed, it outputs a full 100% on this, right? This is how it's supposed to go, right? Now keep in mind, this is the green is this way, the red is this way. So now let's just try it, see what happens. Now if I start moving, and right now I'm not pressing the gas anymore. Look at what's happening. It's pulling me. It's pulling me in this direction, and it just won't stop now. Because it detects speed above 0.5, now it turned it on, and now it won't turn off. So the reason for that, hang on, I'm just going to slow me down to where it's going to stop now. The reason for that is because I just need to flip it or invert the signal here. So the way I saw it before is if the green is pointing that way, then the air is going to come out that way, and it's going to stop me, but I was wrong. In fact, the green just means this is the direction that it's going to take you. So what I want here is either to, hang on, flip it like this, or I can do it using this here and inverse the signal. So now I want it to give it a negative signal, which means that instead of using the green, now it's going to be using the red. So now I can use this and it's going to work. Now it's completely stopping me. It is not going to let me go forward at all. Because once again, this propeller is stronger than the two little thrusters I'm using. So once again, you can use this in the exact same way that we've used the thruster earlier. The only difference is you need to pay attention to green and red because it has two different inputs. So you need to make sure that you put in the right input for what you want it to do. The rest is exactly the same. If you want to use this on a vehicle and you want it to allow you to move, then we set it up with an XOR gate the exact same way we did with the thruster earlier. Once again, you connect this to the XOR gate and not the propeller. The XOR gate is giving the signal to this. This needs to become W. And actually, we're going to be using a red signal. Yeah, so now this is giving this 100%, sorry. Now this is giving it a negative signal. Again, you know, you need to pay attention to this. Now this, I wanted to trigger this at 100% power. 100% power of what's on here. So now this just confirms that this is what I want. So we're going negative, and negative means it's going to give it the signal to push air that way, to go that way, to try and go that way. So it's going to push air in that direction. See if it works. Yeah, right now it's letting me go forward. And if I release, it stops me. Exactly the same way that it would have done with the thruster. Like I said, this is just slightly more complicated just because it has two different inputs. All right, this last part of the tutorial is only for those who understand everything else that came before and they don't mind things getting a little bit more complicated, because even I don't fully understand what's about to happen. Okay, I just want to, you know, I want everybody to know that beforehand. Even I don't understand everything that's about to happen here. So this is basically the same setup that I have on my big platform. The only difference is this setup uses XOR gates, and I removed them on the big platform to make it work because the XOR gates are literally just making life a living hell when it comes to this setup right here. So the idea was I have propellers, 4 propellers, facing in every direction. So I have 4 facing forward, reverse, and both sides, right? And I have speed sensors detecting speeds in every direction. And I have each speed sensor triggering an XOR gate that then triggers the 4 propellers. This is exactly, it follows exactly the same logic as the previous setups that I showed you in the beginning of the video, which all work perfectly fine. Now watch what happens when I give this thing gas and I start trying to turn. Now I'm going to release everything and look what happens. I have some propellers that turn on and don't stop, and I don't understand why that is. I'm not touching any commands right now. I'm just going on this weird rotation forever. Now I can press R and reset this and stop it. If I just press forward, look what happens. I'm just pressing forward. I'm not even turning. And look what happens. It starts again. And something very similar was happening. There's a speed sensor that keeps, like, the one for the left side keeps triggering like that. Now if I repair it again, and I press to the right, is it going to be a different one? No, it's the same one. The same one keeps giving me problems. Hang on. It's this one, right? This one is the one giving me problems. It detects the same thing as everything else. It's connected to this one here, right? This one here. So did I connect it to the wrong one? Okay, hang on. Yeah, this is definitely not what I want. If it goes to the left, I want it to trigger. Yeah, okay, so they're not triggering the right ones. Hang on. Maybe I just figured out my problem here. Triggers this, and this. Yeah, so this was triggering the wrong one. So maybe I just figured out my problem. If this fixed it, then this entire segment may not need to happen. Okay, now I'm still getting weird things though. Why is... So the forward one shouldn't be... These ones shouldn't be triggered. They should only trigger if I'm going backwards. It's because... Okay, I just need to remove all the inputs from them. Alright, I think all the inputs have been removed. So let's just try it. Right now things seem to be working. Now I'm going straight. And because of these propellers on each side that prevent me from drifting, basically, this is like driving on a road. It's almost the same as driving on a road. None of the propellers are working right now. And if I release, now they stop me in every direction. Okay, so now we're going to drive this to heavy currents. So this segment was going to be way longer because I was going to be messing around with stuff and experimenting with stuff, but it seems like I won't have to, just because I fixed the problem. Now I'm releasing everything. I think it's trying to stop me. Is it able to though? Is it enough? I'm not sure why I'm spinning. It may be because they're not centered. So when some of them are triggered, they're causing a rotation. When some of them are triggered like at the same time, they're causing a rotation. But yeah, no, it seems like I'm not approaching that rock at all. It looks like they might actually be enough, but they're causing some weird rotation. I'm not approaching the rock at all. So I'd say this is fixed. It's just the rotation is kind of weird. The setup for these propellers, definitely not the best for a vehicle like this. This is the setup that I use to stabilize a platform that I want to remain stationary at all times. This is not the setup I would use on a vehicle for sure. Yeah, this was proof of concept and it actually worked. I managed to fix it. Yeah, so because you can see these propellers are not centered, right? The propellers that just triggered, they're off center. Because they're off center, they're going to cause a small rotation when they trigger, and this is perfectly normal. If I wanted to fix that, I would just need to make sure they're perfectly centered. I'm happy with this. I don't see a reason to keep this video going any longer than this. I managed to fix it. I managed to figure it out. So hopefully this entire video will end up helping a lot of you guys. If it did end up helping you, please let me know, because this is the kind of thing, this is the kind of comment that really makes my day. So on that, take care, guys. Bye for now.